Good afternoon. If you could take your seats, for those who haven't yet. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the closing session of the first ever Global Conference on Sustainable Livestock Transformation. I'm Tin Lai Nguyen.
And I'm Chris Burns, and we're going to be with you for these next few hours talking about the highlights of these last 3 days of intense discussions on the four betters of the FAO in dealing with sustainable livestock transformation. Today we're going to have, this session we're going to have highlights, then we'll have a high-level ministerial comments, we'll also have youth commenting as well, and then a discussion and wrap up with the Director General. We have some tech tips.
Exactly, so before we all start, let's have some housekeeping rules. Very important, please make sure that your mobile phones and all electronic devices are in silent mode.
And we have interpretation in 6 UN languages, so please, all speakers, please speak clearly and not too fast. That would be great.
And another very important message, there will be coffee and refreshment outside the plenary from 3 to 4.
Okay, I think that's
now that we've gotten that out of the way, I guess we will start the session with a short little video on this conference. Can we have the video, please?
We face a global challenge. The way we produce and consume food today is unsustainable. But we can still change this. The world needs a holistic and sustainable approach to transform our agri-food systems for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. And livestock plays an important role in achieving these aspirations. By making significant and positive changes to the livestock sector, we can ensure its long-term viability, ecological balance, and social responsibility. Sustainable Livestock Transformation looks at practices that can improve food security and nutrition and livelihoods of those involved in the sector, promote animal health and welfare, minimize negative environmental impacts, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The aim is to create an efficient, inclusive, resilient, and environmentally conscious livestock sector that meets the needs of populations today and conserves resources for those who will come tomorrow. Effective and sustainable livestock transformation requires country and context-specific approaches that recognize the diversity of livestock systems across the world. Tailoring interventions to national and local needs, resources and knowledge is crucial to integrating sustainable practices within existing systems. To make a sustainable livestock transformation possible, we must build global, balanced and evidence-based narratives on sustainable livestock. Strengthen pathways to expand good practices that promote sustainability. Support policy development and responsible investment that align with sustainability goals. Integrate animal production, health and welfare following the One Health approach to foster the development of holistic and sustainable systems. And accelerate actions, innovations and partnerships that drive meaningful change more efficiently. Now is the time to engage in dialogues on innovation and pathways for more nutritious, safe and accessible animal source foods with a reduced environmental footprint. FAO's first Global Conference on Sustainable Livestock Transformation will serve as a neutral forum, bringing together stakeholders from across the world interested in building vibrant, resilient and diversified livestock systems. Together, we can unlock the full potential of livestock systems for a sustainable and food-secure world for all.
Thank you very much. We're now delighted to invite Ms. Maria Helena Semedo, FAO Deputy Director General, to talk about the highlights and key takeaways from this conference. Ms. Semedo?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you, and good afternoon to all. Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, Ambassador, Permanent Representatives, distinguished delegates, FAO colleagues, dear participants. Let me start by congratulating all of you for this successful FAO Global Conference on Sustainable Livestock Transformation, which has been nicknamed the Solutions Conference, and I hope it will be really the Solutions Conference. What happened during these last 3 days? We gathered here in Rome, in FAO, because it was an in-person conference, 700 participants from 98 member countries and the European Union, from intergovernment organizations, private sector, civil society, academia, research and producer organizations, including many women and dynamic youth. We have more than 100 youth here. It's the first time in FAO that we are able to gather so many youth to bring their views and their energy to the discussion. And we are honored with the participation of more than 20 ministers and high-level government representatives. You listen in the first day, and right after this session, we'll be having a high-level session with the ministers, giving them their view and their political guidance on how to move forward. Over the last 2 days and 2.5 days, we heard powerful speeches and engaged in inspiring discussion on innovation and pathways to efficiently produce more nutritious, safe, and accessible animal source foods with a reduced environmental footprint. Now, I will do my best to summarize those rich discussions with some highlights of this conference. And I would like to start by thanking all the chairs of the 4 panels discussion. Unfortunately, some of them had to leave, and I will try to summarize on their behalf. And let me start by the plenary session 1 on the opening. And the opening, we start with the Director General to set the scene, and he shared with us his vision for the sustainable development and transformation of the livestock sector. He underlined how sustainable livestock production system is at the heart of FAO strategic framework 2022-31 for better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. Then it was followed by high-level panels. They showcase policies, major program, and investment in 8 countries relevant to the sustainable transformation of the livestock sector. And FAO Sustainable Livestock Transformation Initiative was introduced. And what we have heard from the discussion? Appreciation for FAO in organizing this long overdue conference and for its whole as neutral forum. This is what we do. We bring all the partners together to discuss, and we provide this platform. The importance of innovation and science-based and balanced discussion, and that solutions must be tailored to local needs and context, and the need to share best practices and expertise and work collectively in addressing common issues. And to continue this dialogue, at regional level, moving from the global to the regional level. Now we had the plenary section 2 on better production. And the first definition was that better production is not only more, but must consider the synergies and trade-offs within the sector. And what we have heard, the importance of the feed subsector and industry, 3 action levels for sustainability. The feed ingredient selection, innovative specialty ingredients, and third, least cost impact feed formulation. And there is no adaptation to the environment and market demands without genetic diversity. This is a reminder that the solution to conserve and develop those resources are already outlined on FAO 2007 Global Plan for Action for the Management of Animal Genetic Resources. Third, the One Health approach is crucial and requires cooperation at multiple levels and across sectors, farmers, veterinarians, policymakers, and across countries. Animal welfare is key to sustainable livestock transformation, recognizing that the technological and information divide between high-income and middle and low-income countries continues to grow. And we must ensure that tools like precision livestock farming and big data in livestock production or biotechnologies like genomic selection are available and affordable by small-scale producers, especially in low and middle-income countries. Noting that the very limited number of the veterinarians in certain countries, participants underline the importance of building a strong community-based animal health workforce, and particularly in some regions like Africa, I believe this will be a priority. Now moving to the plenary section 3 on better nutrition. Better nutrition discussion confirmed the important role of animal source food in human nutrition and health at all stages and can contribute to achieving the 4 core principles of healthy diets: adequacy, balance, moderation, and diversity. And I hope it was mentioned that we had a report published and we have a new report coming, and it will be important that all of you take your time to read this report. And what we have heard, the cultural and contextual factors should not be overlooked in developing food-based dietary guidelines. The science policy interface is important to adapt evidence for different contexts and realities, but requires increased country capacities for better and more comprehensive nutrition data. There is no food security without food safety. Here, the role of Codex Alimentarius is seen as irreplaceable and should be strengthened in supporting countries to implement the standards. As more consumers demand accountability on the environmental sustainability of animal source food production, it was noted that there are no global standards for measuring environmental impacts. Making animal source food more available, accessible, and affordable requires increased productivity through genetic gain and improved production practices. This is what we heard from the better nutrition, and now we move to better environment. To ensure sustainability for better environment, livestock must adapt to climate change while mitigating its source of greenhouse gas emission, with a view to recognize synergies and trade-offs between livestock production and the environment. As one participant said, the problem is not the the problem is the how. And what we heard on the how. The sector can protect and restore biodiversity, fight land degradation and water and soil pollution. It can mitigate emissions by improving efficiency, animal genetics, health and feeding practices, and directly targeting greenhouse gas formation using the example of food additives. Solution must be more farm-centric, economically viable and realistic regarding the timeline and path for emission reduction with context-specific strategies designed and implemented at farm level. Whether improving husbandry practices, feeding innovation, on introducing an index-based livestock insurance, success hinge on the engagement of farmers and the collaboration efforts between the government and the research community. Circularity in the feed production, utilizing crop residues and other agro-industrial byproducts are always the competition between human food and animal feed could be tackled as we look to redefine production systems. We need to consider environment sustainability holistically, including biodiversity preservation, ecosystem restoration, water quality, energy cogeneration, and nutrient cycling and circularity. We need to make science data available to the public, create more applied research, include farmers and consumers, and co-create solutions. Now, the last one, the plenary session, the better life. Maximizing the contribution of livestock for better life requires engaging all farmers in designing and implementing solutions. What we heard, policies and investments should not simply provide direct support to farmers, but also tackle barriers that prevent farmers to access productive inputs and tap into existing business opportunities. Policies and investments should also take into account the increased frequency of disaster and consider the key role of livestock to enhance resilience. Pastoralists are an integral part of the sustainable livestock transformation, bringing ancestral knowledge, genetic diversity, and nature stewardship. Data such as animal identification system and surveillance at all levels are indispensable for attracting and scaling up investment. Technology development and adoption, incorporating also traditional knowledge, could help make livestock productive, profitable and attractive to farmers, especially the young farmers, which could be a game changer towards a sustainable transformation of livestock. To conclude, although we are not yet at the end of this conference, I think we can all agree that its main goals have been successfully reached: to raise awareness on the essential contribution of sustainable livestock to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, to identify priorities for mobilizing scientific, technical, and financial resources to achieve global sustainable livestock transformation, and to share information and knowledge on the strategic direction and technical development in sustainable livestock production worldwide. And the question has been raised during the lunch and other moments: what next? What should be after the conference today? And we hope we can hear from the ministers this afternoon their views on how we should take this at the next step. And we receive a proposal that I would like to share with you for discussion The idea is to establish a sustainable livestock transformation platform to promote and facilitate cooperation at all levels, a neutral, shared space for stakeholders to present and share their sustainable livestock production, initiatives, and knowledge. As I said, this is food for thought, could be the establishment of this platform, could be more action, but I leave this to you because it's your conference. FAO is only facilitating this conference. Thank you, and I hope we'll follow up with the next session and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Director General. Thank you. And as you just noted, yes, more than 100 youth were with us this week. As we were having intense discussions in here, they were also having intense discussions in a youth dialogue. And we want to hear their highlights from that as well. But let's first take a look at a video.
A critical moment for our planet and our land. A crucial moment for our future, when the future of our planet will be decided by the brave people that want to step up and make changes happen. Living off the land is a way of life. But we, the young farmers and pastoralists, are facing more challenges than ever. The global climate crisis impacts every aspect of our life, and young people are forced to abandon rural areas to look for jobs and opportunities in cities. Many young people don't see the appeal of being a livestock producer anymore. Getting access to land, credit, education, and resources are still challenging for many. Moving towards a sustainable livestock sector is important for us because this determines our future, and we need to be part of the transformation. We need to be able to educate ourselves, to acquire new skills, but also understand how to run a successful livestock business. We need more opportunities for young women in the sector. We need to be involved in the decisions affecting our lives to make our sector more sustainable. We want to have a voice in the policy-making process. This process needs to be inclusive and diverse, with women, minorities, small-scale producers, and indigenous peoples represented and present. We are the key to unlocking a sustainable future for the livestock sector. We are ready to take bold decisions, find innovative solutions, and make change happen together. We are ready to be part of the transformation. And our journey begins here today, where we will determine what our first steps will look like. A journey for the youth, by the youth. At this youth dialogue, we will begin working together to make a sustainable livestock sector possible for us all. Be part of the transformation. Leave no one behind.
So what happened during that dialogue? Let's hear their feedback. Let's hear a number of the youth, beginning with Javier Garcia Bravo, youth representative. Javier, please.
Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. After a blink, everything has passed, and the memories we carry from this flash will last a lifetime. This dialogue was created by youth for youth, to gather young people of the livestock sector from all around the world and raise their voices during the Global Conference on Sustainable Livestock Transformation. Discussions have been fruitful and lively, and we have enjoyed 3 magical days. We had some engaging sessions to discuss the challenges, opportunities, and concrete solutions for youth in the livestock sector. Some of our fellow youth had the opportunity to share their success stories in youth-led initiatives and innovation that contributed to the sustainable transformation of livestock systems. The contributions have been astonishing, and the energy in the room was truly inspiring. We have worked tirelessly to adopt this morning the youth statement, full of joy and satisfaction.
Before we move to the presentation of the statement, I'd like to thank FAO for making this possible. Thanks also go to the World Food Forum and UNIMED, the Mediterranean Universities Union, for all the support provided. I'd also like to thank all the ministers and representatives and all the conference participants for lending us your ears and taking youth into account. And of course, our thanks also go to all the participants in this dialogue for coming here to Rome to gift us this moment made very special. Thanks to all of you.
Now I would like to pass the floor to Kawide, Wahing Khan, Lexi, Martin, and Titis, who will read our youth statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Javier. Thank you.
We, young actors in livestock sector from across regions, seeking to transform livestock systems, which we will leave as a legacy for future generations, gathered in Rome for the General Youth Dialogue on Sustainable Livestock Transformation, have come to articulate our shared vision, this critical and foundational sector. So as youth, we are the present and the future, and we are faced with great challenges in the livestock sector. The impact of global challenges on livestock production systems are becoming increasingly pronounced, particularly for the most vulnerable populations. Solutions can only be developed by seeking opportunities at global and local level. We should consider the One Health approach in balance with the need for economically viable livestock production. Through our consultations at this landmark event, we have developed recommendations for all levels of policy and decision makers, guided by both traditional knowledge and modern scientific understanding. We are pleased and proud to present the outcomes of our dialogue. We believe in an inclusive and a multi-stakeholder dialogue for a joint development for the consensual visions that considers the diversity of livestock systems across the world. We urge global leaders and relevant stakeholders to engage with youth and include their aspiration for the sustainable transformation of the livestock sector. We are agents of change, unlocking ways forward for global food security, safety, and nutrition, where diverse cultures, heritage, the environment, and future generation all thrive within our planetary boundaries.
General recommendations. We urge the governments and decision makers prioritize and adopt holistic, science-based, producer-driven, inclusive approaches for sustainable livestock transformation that consider all elements of the livestock value chain, particularly youth. We recommend meaningful engagement of young livestock actors in cross-sector, multi-stakeholder partnerships to amplify and implement the ideas of youth. We recommend that governments and other decision makers align with the principles of intergenerational and gender equity, ensuring the full and effective participation of young people in decision making at all levels. We urgently call for policy and financial support targeting young livestock stakeholders to enable them to play their crucial role in the sustainable livestock transformation. We recommend that governments encourage more youth to enter and remain in agricultural professions to meet livestock production needs of the future, including improved access to land and other natural resources. We advocate for recognizing the potential of youth to leverage technology, science, modern and traditional knowledge for sustainable livestock transformation. We call for increased and better focused investment for scaling up and rolling out innovations developed by youth in the livestock sector at all levels. We recommend that the youth are integrated into existing platforms for knowledge sharing, mentorship programs, and leadership opportunities. We ask for recurrent youth discussions to follow up and an official youth position in the subcommittee on livestock of the Committee on Agriculture Co-op.
Social sustainability. We recommend that governments, private sector, civil society, and development organizations recognize and preserve indigenous and pastoralist knowledge and livelihoods, which should be conveyed across generations. We call for increased and continuous investment in education and vocational training, equipping youth with skills and knowledge that enable them to join and innovate in the sector, including communication training. We recommend to increase awareness for consumers about the role of livestock producers, animal source foods, and their nutritional value, animal welfare, and sustainable livestock systems for a better understanding of the livestock sector.
Economic sustainability. We call for improved access to and development of capital, infrastructure, land, finance and insurance, input and output markets, and social protection to help young farmers and pastoralists, especially youth and marginalized communities, to establish sustainable businesses. We call on governments to assist youth-led organizations and enterprises to foster rural and green job opportunities and livelihood, to develop and sustain local economies. We ask for policies and investments to improve the livelihood and financial sustainability of all livestock farmers and systems.
Environmental sustainability. We call on global leaders and decision makers to acknowledge that climate change and increasing frequency of natural disasters exacerbate the inequalities in the livestock sector. We require urgent action to defend the livelihoods of people and communities depending on the livestock sector worldwide. We call for recognition of the contribution of livestock production systems to ecosystem services and the environment. We must also recognize and promote the sustainable transformation of the global livestock industry to play a key part on mitigating the impact of climate change. We call for upscaling climate change adaptation and mitigation solutions according to the different livestock production systems and context, by supporting young livestock actors to adapt and adopt sustainable practices and climate-smart technologies. We commit to continue the Global Youth Network on Sustainable Livestock Transformation, guided by values of inclusivity and equity for all. We pledge, with our intrinsic motivation, energy, creativity, and with a sense of community, to care for and protect our livestock sector and our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Oh, wait, hang on. Javier, come on. The picture. Come forward. Thanks again. A very important input from the youth dialogue that hopefully will be taken in and taken aboard by the others here as well. And now it's time for
the next segment.
Yes.
Right, we're now going to have the first high-level ministerial segment. And can I ask all the representatives and officials from these countries to come on stage, please? Netherlands, Cameroon, Uruguay, Australia, Ireland, and the United States.
And with the hope that each statement can be up to 5 minutes. We hope. Yes, thank you. We have a timer here. Hello. Hi, nice to see you, Minister. Great.
Can we perhaps start with the Netherlands Minister, Ms. Christian van der Wal, who is the Minister for Nature and Nitrogen Policy at the Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality. Can you tell us some of the key takeaways and highlights that are relevant to your country's perspective? Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, no more hunger. That's what the Netherlands said after World War II, after a terrible winter of famine, full of empty stomachs. Thousands and thousands died. So what did we do? We innovated. We radically modernized our agricultural system, invested in research and education, in scaling up and mechanizing. We transitioned. And our farmers got the job done. Top production, top-notch entrepreneurship, very efficient. And you might say, we became masters of our own environment. But now, the masters must go back to school. Because as front runners, we're running into a frontal collision, into a wall of challenges. You know the challenges, they're worldwide. Extreme heat and droughts, heavy rains and floods, challenges with air quality, soil quality and water quality, challenges with crop protection agents, animal welfare, biodiversity loss. Am I forgetting something? For many decades, the Netherlands has expanded its agricultural capabilities, especially with livestock. But our livestock farming has simply become too input dependent. Water, fertilizers, plant protection, feed imported from afar, at the expense of forests. We do have high meat and milk outputs, but also produce unwanted output that the environment just cannot handle. We've been stretching our ecological system like an elastic band, and now that elastic band has grown tired. Here and there, it's showing cracks. Some might look the other way, hoping it doesn't snap. I think it's time to act. No more hunger deserves a happier ending than the pressure it's putting on our planet today. It deserves a new future, a new transition. Well, you might say, hey, I heard the Netherlands is buying out farmers to lower nitrogen emissions. That sounds pretty luxurious. They have enough to eat. They have food security. And you'd be right. But the problems we face feel very non-luxurious. The environment is suffering. We simply have to act. Not only because European laws oblige us to, but also because our conscience obliges us to. It's saying, what legacy are you handing the next generation? So how does this minister from cow country see the future? Well, I think we can stop stretching the cracking elastic band. We can innovate again and achieve a new transition without depleting the planet. I see hope in shifting within Earth's boundaries. How? By embracing sustainable livestock farming, by embracing a diet with less animal protein and more plant-based protein, which is also healthier. And by embracing promising developments like cellular agriculture, precision fermentation, and cultivated meat. Transitions will be difficult. I'll never forget the days when farmers protested right at my very own doorstep last year. But we're already making progress. For instance, for many months, we've worked hard on a national program for rural areas, aiming to protect our water and protect our soil. And we're slowly but surely finally squeezing the nitrogen tap. Agricultural entrepreneurs throughout the country are now taking important first steps, cooperating locally to create a healthier environment for everyone. No, the Netherlands does not have all the answers. Finding a sustainable food system will be hard. But having friends by our own side will make it easier. After all, climate change, biodiversity loss and other environmental problems know no borders or difference. Whatever happens, the Netherlands is dedicated to the new transition. And though we may not share the same vision for the future of livestock, the Netherlands will share its newfound knowledge, willingly to help you avoid going through similar challenges. And I came here today to deliver a message. I came to extend a hand of friendship. I'm also here with open arms to listen, especially to these young people from all over the world, and they're sitting there also. They need hope. They need to grow. They need to prosper. So I want to hear their ideas. After all, the future is mostly theirs. So let's all help them to shape it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let us turn to Cameroon. Dr. Taiga, Minister for Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries. Vous pouvez soit vous asseoir là, soit aller là-haut. C'est comme vous voulez.
You can speak from your chair or at the lectern, as you wish. Ladies and gentlemen, Cameroon would like to congratulate the FAO Director General on the initiative to convene this global conference, the theme of which, Sustainable Livestock Transformation, is particularly relevant in the wake of the 2021 UN Food Systems Summit and its first stock-taking moment in July 2023. We thank you for involving Cameroon in this high-level ministerial session. Ladies and gentlemen, to get straight to the point, on important aspects to highlight. In order to implement the vision of the head of state of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya, Cameroon has adopted a national development strategy for 2020 to 2030, which aims for a structural transformation of the country's economy. For the agriculture sector in general and the livestock sector in particular, we need to produce more and produce better, to feed our people on the one hand, but also to have the raw materials needed for agro-industry. And so Cameroon has put in place programs and tools the Animal Production and Industry Development Program. In Cameroon, the livestock sector is a subsector involved in the animal industry. Cameroon has also put in place a fisheries and aquaculture development program. And Cameroon has also implemented a health cover and fight against animal diseases program. This is a programmatic approach that we have put in place in Cameroon. The initiatives that underpin these programs are as follows. Produce more and produce better. For better production, the program I just mentioned, the Animal Production and Industry Development Program, is in place and is implemented through specific projects. The Livestock Development Project, there's a Livestock and Fishery Value Chain Development Project, and a Livestock Infrastructure Building Development Project. There are many projects involved in this regard, and we have support from the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, and other partners. Produce more and better. It also means protecting animals from animal diseases. To do this, we have the Health Cover and Fight Against Animal Diseases program. It's been put in place. A few initiatives involved in this are, firstly, the implementation in Cameroon of a coordination hub for animal health emergencies. It's up and running today. I'd also like to very sincerely thank FAO for having supported Cameroon in this regard. There is also an older tool in place called the Disease Monitoring Network. The second example I'd like to give is the fight against PPR, Peste Petit Ruminant. Cameroon, over 3 successive years, vaccinated all of its national herd of small ruminants. Cameroon has also committed to the achievement of FAO's and WOA's objectives launched in 2015 aimed at the full eradication of Peste Petit Ruminant globally by 2030. And as you know, Cameroon has shared its seroprevalence results, 74%. These results have been validated and confirmed. I think that this is a model of political will and actions for the benefit of producers, smallholder producers, and this also protects livestock and cattle and ensures household income, and this should be encouraged in other countries as well. When it comes to the One Health dimension, which we've heard about over the last few days, I'd like to say that Cameroon has a strategy for the management of health problems and the human-animal environment nexus, and we have put in place the One Health approach, institutionalizing it throughout the country, including in the Prime Minister's department. This program is the national program to fight against animal diseases and emerging and re-emerging diseases. This program is implemented by the Ministry of Livestock, the Ministry of Public Health, the Ministry of Forestry and Fauna, and the Environment Ministry. I'd also like to say that we have a huge campaign which is being launched against canine rabies. This is going to be put in place thanks to the support from WOA. I'd like to thank them for that support as well. Producing more and producing better also means putting in place support tools. For example, we have a support tool for the modernization of production tools through fiscal measures for the acquisition of production equipment And this is put in place through the finance laws in 2021, 2022 and 2023. And we also have measures to cut taxes and customs duties on inputs and production materials and equipment. The second example, of course, is in relation to funding and financing. We have put in place two funds. A fund to provide funds to actors in the livestock value chain and the fisheries value chain. And we have 18 to 19 billion CFA francs, which have been made available for this, of course, with the support as well of the African Development Bank. Producing more and producing better also involves other initiatives. For example, the elaboration of a climate-smart livestock strategy and the study to look at the environmental impact of each project which is to be implemented. We also have social protection for producers through voluntary insurance of breeders, 600,000 to 1 million breeders to be enrolled in this. This is through a convention signed with the Social Security Agency. We also have the introduction of new ICT tools in the subsector in cooperation with the Ministry with responsibility for telecommunications and the World Bank. And we also have the drafting of a new law on livestock, which is currently being drawn up. To conclude, I'd like to talk about a policy we're calling the import substitution policy. It's being put in place by the government, and the aim is to tap into our capacity to produce locally those things which we traditionally have imported the most. For the livestock and fisheries subsector, the products concerned are fish and milk. The private sector has a significant role to play in the implementation of these various strategies. And the DDG was saying that this conference is here to provide solutions, and Cameroon is here to provide solutions as well. After everything that has been said over the past 3 days, and given the importance of food security, which only involves humans, and knowing that animals must be well fed in order to produce more and better and more sustainably, Cameroon would like to propose the establishment for animals in the framework of better nutrition, the establishment of a global animal food and nutrition initiative. To allow us to fight effectively against AMR, but also to make sure that we can produce more fodder so that we can make sure that livestock production is more sustainable. I'd like to thank you for your kind attention.
Merci beaucoup, Minister. Now we have Uruguay's Minister for Livestock, Agriculture and Fisheries, Mr. Fernando Matos. If you could keep your speeches to 5 minutes, we would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Muy buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, it's a real pleasure to be here addressing this August Assembly. I'd like to greet the ministers and, above all, would like to thank FAO for this initiative. We've been waiting for this event for a long time, and we'd like to congratulate the organizers and the DG, the DDG who's here with us, the Director of the livestock sector for this great event from which we take away many lessons and which has shown us the way forward, the path we've always felt we needed to travel down, placing livestock in the right place in terms of its importance and as a provider of the protein that we need. We wouldn't be here as a civilization were it not for meat. Meat was a determining factor in the evolution of humankind.
Therefore, denying the importance of livestock's contribution to nutrition and development, not just of people, thanks to health and nutritional aspects, but also social development, would have a vast impact on many parts of the world. If we had no livestock sector, we would see the collapse of many populations because many regions wouldn't have developed the way they have from a social and economic standpoint were it not for livestock. Let's not fail to mention the environmental impact, because herbivores have had a positive impact on many rangelands, and their absence would have radically and definitively changed those ecosystems that are still maintained today thanks to this wondrous phenomenon, the transformation of a fiber that humans can't use to high quality material. The miracle of photosynthesis, of rumination, the biochemical and physical magic of those products that humans can't use into land that can't be farmed is an answer that has been provided across many centuries, provided by the livestock sector to the benefit of the development of humankind. We are now, FAO is now paying tribute, and rightly so, to this productive activity that has been developed over centuries. We have been accused of factors contributing to climate change. We have analyzed here from a positive lens, which is why I would like to congratulate the organizers for the fact that we have taken a different approach here compared to what this organization has stated before. In terms of productive sustainability and environmental sustainability, there is room for improvement, and we have sought to do so. The agriculture sector at large is the only sector that can capture CO2, atmospheric CO2, which has accumulated over centuries, which is the true driver of climate change and the vulnerability that the productive sector across the world is exposed to, and which is a hazard due to the frequency of extreme weather events that continue to affect yield and generate scarcity in many productive regions, and also has led to inflation of food prices. Of course, we can't just take this approach when we speak of climate change. Cows aren't the problem, sheep aren't the problem, ruminants aren't the problem. Human beings are the problem, and we really need to look at this from the right perspective. We should really talk about methane. Why? Because it's the only tool with which we can quickly lower the rising global temperature, and we have evidence to this effect. However, methane in livestock isn't the only culprit. Why don't we talk more about fossil fuel use, about gas leaks, about open-air mines, about waste depots? All of this generates methane, which also leads to climate change-related issues. I'm not trying to sidestep my responsibility. As a Minister of Livestock, we as ministers are committed to reducing this impact, and many solutions have emerged here which we should try to implement, and that fundamentally should aim to engage in new practices where technical support needs to target producers and smallholders who ordinarily do not have access to technology and knowledge. Therefore, we would also like to launch a call for these aspects, given that humankind is so concerned with the sustainability of productive processes, the impact of climate change due to greenhouse gas emissions. We should really shed light on commercial policies We cannot establish trade rules that are already sufficiently protectionistic by adding more protectionist measures to do with environmental factors. I think we all agree that we need to improve the sustainability of our productive systems, but we need to do so responsibly rather than by placing barriers to trade. If we really want to improve the climate, we need to do it the other way around. We should reward those countries that ensure that their productive processes are sustainable. So we would like to issue a message of hope. The livestock sector is committed to improving its commitment to sustainability. It will improve and reduce its emissions because many different solutions have come out of this event. And let's not forget that in 2006, FAO itself issued a message that said that the livestock sector accounted for 18% of those emissions. It's now 11%. There must not be any other sector that's been quite so efficient in this short space of time, and we will improve further. Hence, my message of hope for the young people who are here with us today. As the representative of Switzerland said in the opening part of one of our segments, we shouldn't be ashamed of what we do. Indeed, we are the guarantors of food security. We do not harm the environment so long as we take the necessary measures to redress global warming, and we can do so. Therefore, please don't worry. You are the future of livestock production, and you are on the right track. Livestock will provide many more answers. Of course, we must continue to contribute, as we have been doing, to improve the living conditions of humankind, and that would not be possible without the livestock sector. We do not agree with all those policies that restrict livestock stocks. We do need to improve the way we perform. Therefore, this path toward better production, as we've shown, the fact that producers on a small scale with good practices can reduce their emissions and do so while also increasing their incomes. This is one of the ways forward that we propose. With a look to the future, we would like to encourage FAO to continue down this path, generating information for us such as this, because we have a great future ahead of us for production, for humankind, for livestock, and for the planet. Thank you.
Gracias, Ministro. Gracias. As the guarantor of food security. Very interesting, very important. A lot of responsibilities to deal with. 3 generations of farmers. Very interesting. Minister, please, from Australia, and Nicola Hinder, Deputy Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry. Just again to remind the ministers that with all due respect, we have a timer. We would like to stay to 5-ish minutes.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I think it's also been well proven that irrespective of being a minister or a senior official, when it comes to discussing livestock sustainability, we all like a microphone.
Yes.
So I think having the benefit of being one of the speakers at the first panel that opened up the Sustainable Livestock Transformation Conference, and then being one of the last speakers as well, it's really caused me to reflect on the messages that have come throughout the last 3 days of the conference, and has also caused me to reflect upon the role of the FAO and the congratulations that needs to go to the FAO for organising the conference, as well as the thanks that need to go to our numerous youth delegates that have challenged us over the last couple of days about ways to do better and ways to think better. I think I've heard from everyone in the room that there is a general acknowledgement that what happens with our livestock and our animal source foods are an absolutely important way to meet global nutritional needs. And our livestock and our animal source fibres can, and actually in many, many countries, are already being produced in a sustainable and a durable manner. It's undeniable, and as I've said from the beginning, that livestock industries are very, very important to Australia, and that's why we take this issue so very, very seriously. And that includes on developing sustainability principles that we are actively talking about throughout the globe as a way to be able to both share knowledge, share science, and share evidence-based decision-making so that all can make responsible and appropriate policies in return. I think I've said on a couple of occasions throughout my talking in the conference that we are a very outcomes-based, common sense producer of policies and developer of practices to be able to focus on agricultural sustainability. And I think our biggest point will continue to be that there is a diversity of circumstances that approaches livestock around the world. And there is no one-size-fits-all approach to sustainability. And in fact, what might be found to be sustainable in one practice and in one market and in one country could be proven to be unsustainable practices of production in others. And so for that, I think that places an onus on ministers, it places an onus on senior officials, it places an onus on our producers, our growers, our processors, our developers, and our next range of livestock practices coming forward to being able to show that the way that they are producing both livestock products and any fibre or fur that comes from the same in a sustainable manner that's evidence and science-based. For colleagues that didn't get the chance last night to sit on the side event that Australia organised where we were talking around what I call some seriously sexy science around climate mitigation and also how that goes towards improving productivity in livestock, I'd really encourage you to have a look at the recording of the session. It wasn't only Australian science that was being showcased, but we had science on showcase from Brazil, and we had science on showcase as well from colleagues in Spain, showing that there truly are global efforts around providing an evidence and science-based approach to sustainability, and also showing that those principles and practices of sustainability can and in fact should be developed on a country-by-country basis. Just closing this out, I think the question for us all is going to be what happens next. Our colleague minister from Uruguay already has thanked the FAO in terms of the time it's taken to be able to bring this conference together. It's not that often that you actually get major livestock producers in one place working together for a common goal. And I think the challenge that we all need to face now is, well, we've done this. What's going to come out of it, right? How are we going to share the knowledge that we've got and are developing? How are we going to work together effectively to be able to make sure that we're not developing technical barriers to trade in the faces of environmental sustainability? And that's a challenge that's going to be, I think, towards us all. I did throw a slight comment out this morning to our youth delegates when I met with them, which said, for a number of years, I've been championing within Australia having global approaches to how we are going to tackle the global problems of our time. And that includes on things that we've been discussing today. And I would like to think that it's not going to be another 10 years where hopefully I'll be retired on a beach somewhere in Australia before we come together again to be able to talk about something like livestock sustainability and the impact that it has on us all. I wish that I had an answer, but until that answer actually arrives, Australia's going to continue to do the work that we have been doing, which is supporting environmental, economic and social outcomes that underpin livestock sustainability, acknowledging that there is diversity in circumstances between countries and there is no one size fits all, supporting policies and regulations that are underpinned by transparent science and risk-based decision making, and avoiding market distorting policies and promoting the role of the multilateral trading system, including transparent, predictable, open and fair markets. And just in one closing point, I'd like to also raise, and believe me, not in a challenging way, but when we are talking about market distorting policies, I'd like us all as well to be able to reflect on around about 820 billion US dollars of market support that's provided to producers around the world. And imagine what we could do should some of those funds be rediverted into research and development that will help us tackle these problems. I'll leave that one with you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Secretary, particularly for leaving us with that food for thought. I'd now like to call on Ireland's Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Mr. Charlie McConalogue.
Thank you very much, and pleasure to be here at the closeout of this conference. And I'd like to, first of all, thank all at FAO, the DG and the Deputy DG and all of the team for putting together this very important and very timely conference. I think it's very opportune that we take the time to bring everyone together here this week, and I think the format in terms of everyone coming together to discuss in an open and neutral forum the challenges we have and the work that we have to do to communicate the role of sustainable livestock in our future is really, really important. I also want to recognise the very important contribution this week as well of young people from around the world for their contribution in their statement here today, and the important role that they will play in the time ahead in relation to ensuring that livestock does have a sustainable place in terms of our nutrition and food supply around the world, because it's very much the view of young people, and it's among young people where views have changed so much, but it's also listening to young people that we can ensure that livestock, in the same way that it has been such a crucial part of our food system in the years up to now, and it is today, that it remains a really crucial part into the future. And that discussion and that evidence base for why that should be the case is very much comes to the fore in relation to the discussions we're having around the world with regard to sustainable food systems and food security. I think it's also really important that we continue to work closely together to share our ideas, to share emerging knowledge, and to share our research as well in relation to how we can achieve a really sustainable future for livestock and all food systems within a sustainable, overall sustainable food system. Certainly the research in this is evolving very rapidly. Were we to be here 5 years ago, even many of the tools and technologies which we have in relation to making sure we have a sustainable future for livestock wouldn't be available in the way they are now. In Ireland, we're investing heavily in research, and I know that's happening in many places around the world. And for example, who would have thought even 5 or 6 years ago that the potential for feed additives, for example, in relation to reducing emissions in livestock would be able to play the role they are. Even evidence and research which our national institution, Teagasc, has been conducting in Ireland in recent times, showing very significant variations between animals, between livestock animals, bovines, for example, in relation to methane emissions among the same animals with the same output and the same meat production capacity, but very significant reductions in relation to methane output, which can be genetically captured and put into breeding programs. So there's much potential there, but the key thing is that we all share that together. We also look at the different role in the different systems in countries right across the world, and we look to support one another in relation to how we step that out within a whole sustainable food system approach. So thank you very much to FAO. I think taking the finishing point from Nicola there again, it's how we step this forward that's going to be really important. It's building on this important work that you have stepped out here this week. I think the role of the Agriculture Committee, the Agriculture Subcommittee, the Livestock Subcommittee of FAO's Agriculture Committee will be really important in relation to doing this as well. It's really good to see that initiative taken in recent times in terms of establishing it, and I think it is an important role to play now going forward as well in relation to advocating the role of sustainable livestock in our food system across the world. So thank you very much for all the work you've carried out here today, and we look forward to continuing that now over the time ahead. Thank you indeed.
Minister, thank you very much. Thank you. Sharing that information, like you said, that's what this is all about. It's very important. Can I call up the U.S. Undersecretary of Agriculture for Farm Production and Conservation, Robert Bonney. Mr. Bonney, I guess you have a few takeaways from these 3 days?
Yeah, no. First of all, just appreciate the honor to be here. Deputy, thank you, and to FAO for putting on this important conference. Like everyone up here, livestock is critically important to the economy, to food production in the United States. But it's also important culturally, whether we think about the Native Americans' role in managing bison herds across the American West, or the settlers that settled the United States, the important role that livestock played in that. But livestock is also important for a lot of other reasons in the United States. Biodiversity conservation. So much of our biodiversity conservation in the United States relies on our privately owned lands. And our grassland ecosystems are particularly threatened, and so finding ways that we can support livestock producers in not only continuing food production, but doing it in a way that sustains biodiversity, that sustains the economic viability of those operations as well, is critically important. One of our great environmental gems in the United States is Yellowstone National Park, our first national park declared well over 100 years ago. And it's 2 million acres surrounded by millions of acres of additional public land, and yet the wildlife that inhabits that park, the iconic elk and mule deer and moose and grizzly bears and wolves, rely to a significant degree on the private ranch lands managed for livestock outside of the park. So our ability to protect that ecosystem relies on our ability to work in partnership with those private landowners, with those Native American tribes, to work ways to integrate livestock or integrate conservation into their livestock operations. Livestock is also critically important as we think about reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. About half of our emissions in the agricultural sector and livestock. The Biden administration is making significant investments, $19.5 billion through the Inflation Reduction Act, an additional $3.1 billion through a program called Partnerships for Climate Smart Commodities, to work in partnership with landowners and with agricultural producers to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to put climate smart practices onto the ground at scale to significantly reduce those greenhouse gas emissions. We'll need technology, we'll need feed additives, we'll need genetics, we'll need to share with all of you the work we're doing, and for us to learn what you all are doing as we tackle the challenge of methane reductions. We're also looking at ways we can improve carbon storage in grassland ecosystems through improved management that both can sustain our grasslands over the long term and sustain the economic engine that is our livestock producers. Our approach is one that's going to be about incentives, it's going to be about partnerships, it's going to be about developing markets that reward producers and landowners for the conservation actions they take to benefit the climate, to benefit biodiversity, to benefit water. Regulation is limited in its effectiveness in the United States because so many of our challenges rely on the willingness of farmers and ranchers and forest owners and others to undertake practices, to deploy them on their grounds in a way that will protect the environment. Therefore, incentives, partnerships, markets, ability to reward producers is critically important. Equity is also important. We need to make sure that everybody can participate. Small producers, medium-sized producers, historically underserved tribes and others need to be able to participate in all that we do. And lastly, we hope to work with all of you to find durable solutions, whether it's in the science, in the new technology, in the approaches that work for producers as well as the environment. and to chart a course that will maintain our livestock operations, the economic, cultural, social, and environmental importance of those operations while we meet the global food supply needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May I just ask our high-level speakers to remain in their seat for just a couple more minutes, because we actually have a quick question from one of our youth delegates to whoever would like to answer. Ana Carolina Zimmerman from Brazil. Ana, would you like to go ahead and ask your question? I think you might have to press again until it turns red. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you, dear ministers, for the presentation. I'm Ana Carolina, a Brazilian beef and grain farmer, young farmer in Brazil. As farmers, we often have a feeling that we are not well perceived. We are in the front line of food systems and climate change. In fact, in our businesses, we have to cooperate with nature, and it is in our maximum interest to be part of the solution and being recognized as so. So my question for you is, do you have any specific advice to better communicate the good work that's being done by producers in the livestock sector? And also, how can we facilitate trade and improve market access to generate opportunities to attract more youth into farming and have a broader communication with the sector, with the society? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ana Carolina. Great intervention. Anybody would like to take a stab at answering that? Yes, thank you.
Well, it's the same continent that I come from, so I'm not sure if it's the same opinion that will come from someone from another continent, but clearly here I'd like to take this opportunity to say that very often we often talk about different types of livestock, high precision livestock farming and then subsistence livestock farming. We need to understand that family farmers, their priority is to stay where they are and have their own production systems and have support from FAO. So how is this done? Well, often they don't have the support needed to make sure that they can keep producing sustainability, because there are other things that come into play. That's why I was talking about incentives to promote certain types of development. We have practices that are passed on from generation to generation from our grandparents and great-grandparents, and none of this has destroyed the environment and nature, which we have been protecting for generations. And we understand that it's important to have subsistence. And in order for this to happen and be protected, we need to make sure that for us, livestock farmers and people who produce food and export products, it's very important to make sure that we are taken into account in the market. And that's why I often talk about trade barriers, and the prices often have to take into account environmental matters, and often this is not taken into account. Often environmental matters are not a priority.
Yes, please.
If it's on, it is. I think you were after some specific advice as well, and I think the linkages that should and could be drawn between individual producer to peak representative body to government official to multilateral organisation needs to continue to be built. In terms of the specifics, it's also about continuing to be proud of the involvement that you have as part of a broader supply chain, and continuing to be able to focus on providing the evidence that the method by which you're producing suits your environment, suits your climate sustainability agenda, suits your government's policy agenda, and how the government then takes that policy agenda into organisations like the FAO. Sometimes I feel quite sorry for producers who are doing their very best every day to be able to provide high quality, food safe, nutritious product. But they don't see the linkages that's being drawn between how they produce on the ground and the decisions that are made in organisations such as the FAO, the IPPC, Codex and WOA. So in terms of specific advice, my specific advice to you would be to continue to be proud of what it is that you're doing. Produce it in the best way that you can possibly produce. Join linkages with other producers and join linkages with your peak representative bodies. Have those peak representative bodies represent your interests to your government and expect your government to prepare those interests in a global stage.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you. A round of applause for the ministers, please. Thank you very much for your comments. Thanks a lot. And we will go to the next group of ministers, this ministerial. I think the communication part is interesting because the youth call for action included having youth involved in this discussion on how to make the transformation. And that is where there will be youth communication, I'm sure, involved in that as well. So your voice will be involved in transmitting what needs to be done. So I hope those answers were good for you. Thank you, Ana Maria. Okay, so let's call up the next countries. That is Chad, Mongolia, European Union, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and Kenya. Please. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh. And if I could first call on the minister from Chad to go up to the lectern, unless you want to speak from there, it's okay. D'accord. Minister from Chad, Awat Ataib Abderrahim, Minister of Livestock and Animal Production. S'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. DDG, ministers, dear colleagues, experts, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Chad, I would like to express our appreciation to FAO for taking the initiative to organize this global conference dedicated to livestock and more specifically transforming this strategic sector with a view to making it sustainable. I would also like to take this opportunity as Minister of Livestock to express our deepest gratitude to the Director General, his DDG and his staff alike. We are extremely grateful, Director General, to this great and important institution for the measures taken to invite us to this global event. The cooperation between Chad and FAO is long-standing. It was cemented by the establishment of an office in Chad in 1977. Cooperation with the Ministry of Livestock and Animal Production has been fruitful and dates back to the 1970s and has intensified in recent years. This cooperation is characterized by many types of support, from mobilizing expertise to mobilizing financial resources for the development of priority actions in favor of pastoralist and agro-pastoralist communities. I would like to say that I welcome this debate because my country's economy relies essentially on this sector, and its transformation can only bring value added. Its current contribution accounts for 37% of agricultural GDP and 14 to 20% of national GDP. Due to its strategic importance, this sector has had a dedicated ministry since the 70s and is classified as a priority ministry. Our livestock sector is characterized by its large volume, estimated in 2022 at 146 million livestock heads in total. Livestock keeping in Chad is characterized by mobility and diversity. Unfortunately, as you know, the availability of some of its essential elements, such as rangelands and surface water, strongly rely on rainfall, which is only present 2 months of the year in this Saharan area and up to 5 months in the extreme south of the country. Occurring droughts in recent years, demographic growth for both humans and animals, and poor agro-silvopastoral practices have depleted natural resources. Multiple analyses have provided us with data on the recurrence of these episodes. They appear to recur every 5 to 6 years. The most recent ones date back to 2010, 2016, and 2022. The 2023 season will likely entail another pastoralist crisis due to scant rainfall in key livestock areas. In the northern part of the country, the rainy season came late and did not last, leading to visible impacts and scarce availability of rangelands, as well as an impact on the overall grazing area. This constant decrease in rangelands, against this backdrop, a study carried out in 2010 by our Program for an Information System for Rural Development and the Management of our Territories forecast that the rangeland area would go from 84 million hectares to 61 million hectares. Our economy's partial reliance on livestock, but also the crucial role played by this sector in fighting food insecurity and nutritional insecurity, means we must find solutions that are sound and lasting. It's important to remember that population density is another driving factor for the rising number of conflicts. Another factor is the occasional questioning of social links between communities, as well as the use of firearms resulting from conflicts in Sudan, Libya, and Central Africa. An open conflict between two populations and the use of space sometimes leads to violent clashes between communities of an agricultural, livestock, or ethnic nature. Now, mobility is a way of managing pastoralist spaces. Being mobile means being able to produce better with less and accessing markets and, above all, escaping crises. However, mobility must go hand in hand with an adapted legal and regulatory toolbox if access to natural resources is to be guaranteed for the survival of agriculture and livestock. Given the current context, which is defined by conflict and increased competition for natural resources, which are affected by the impact of climate change and weak performance, which characterizes the different production sectors in livestock, it is therefore imperative that we advance livestock transformation. The following measures have been implemented or are underway. The issuance of a framework law, whose aim is to build intensive agriculture which is diversified and lasting. We are seeking to make our sector inclusive and sustainable. We are seeking to review our pastoralist code, whose zero draft was developed with the support of FAO. We would like to take this opportunity to reiterate our request to FAO to support us in this review and validation process for this key legal tool for securing agro-pastoral production. We're also developing a national policy for sustainable livestock with a strategic plan for 2024 to 2029. We're establishing pastoral perimeters with a view to keeping our pastoralists in the Sahel for as long as possible. We have a pastoralist perimeter, which means that it is free of all human occupation. It is for pastoralist use and equipped with units around a central forage space with several types of infrastructure, including water, vaccination hubs, a milk collection center, fire breaks, and fodder crops, a school, and a health center. Another measure we've taken is the development of a national education strategy for the children of nomadic livestock keepers. In addition to the drafting and implementation of a project in support of the development of productivity and competitiveness for the meat and dairy value chain, based on intensified learning in the areas of production, livestock productivity, employment opportunities, and enhancing the revenue of meat and dairy value chain actors, among others. Some of the lessons learned: instead of relying on the number of heads of livestock, which has become overwhelming, livestock's contribution to the national economy and household economies should be guaranteed by improved herd productivity. Currently, it is estimated that revenue in the livestock sector amounts to 365 CFA francs per person. Let's bear in mind that a livestock household made up of 6 people would, in general, sell some 4 bulls at a price of 200,000 CFA francs each. In ideal conditions, livestock would earn households a lot more. Raising awareness and promoting a policy of destocking of herds could be a way forward for sustainable development. Another lesson learned is the establishment of an insurance fund. Epidemics and natural disasters are unpredictable factors. Though livestock is an economic activity carried out by private entrepreneurs or pastoralists, it is a state-based responsibility, and given that it guarantees food security for rural and urban populations and broadly contributes to the economic activity of the country. Also, the development of the dairy value chain is a source of revenue and well-being. Food security and safety should be guaranteed. Now, you will have seen that there is a big difference between our livestock sector and those other sectors that you've heard about in the last 2 days. We are trying to replicate what's possible and what can be adapted in our country. Some experiences we should take into account are, when it comes to managing pastoralist crises, we need to take into account the experience of Kenya and draw on that. And for the promotion of the dairy chain and the role it plays in nutrition, we would like to partner up with the global dairy platform of the USA. We look forward to hearing from everyone so that we can adapt those experiences to our reality on the ground. If we wish for a global program, we need to let those of us who are still behind catch up. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Minister, and we really appreciate your presence over the past 3 days, you sitting into all of our plenary sessions and participating in them. Next, we have the State Secretary for Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry from Mongolia, Jambal Saran Tumauya.
Esteemed guys, representatives, ladies and gentlemen, the world is facing serious challenges today, such as obscurities in transportation and logistics, unemployment, poverty, commodity shortages, price increases, which all negatively impact today's state food supply, food security every country. One of the fundamental matters to provide a healthy and safe livelihood and environment for the citizens of Mongolia is to ensure the food security and increase the food supply, where the agriculture sector of the country, in particular nomadic livestock sector, in a straight line with it. We have more than 300,000 herders who migrated to make living through pasture during the 4 seasons of the year. It means that the main income of 30–40% of total population, or more than 1 million people, comes from the nomadic livestock sector. However, despite the potential of this sector contributes only 13.2% of the GDP. The only 5% of all exported commodities, showing the demand to increase the sector economic turnover. Moreover, also the capacity of pasture land is overused by 2.7 times. We have to give importance not on the quantity of the livestock, but the quality of productivity of livestock is marketable if transferring the livestock sector into production export system. In case we are working towards increase of investments in the agriculture sector, establishment of the system of preparation and supply of raw materials based on the cooperatives structure, insurance of the safety of livestock products, supply of the main food products by domestic production, as well as use the lost opportunities in increased exports based on involvements of the ones who are engaged in small and medium enterprise and cooperatives. In this connection, we let list priorities to be implemented in the agriculture sector. Establish the framework, legal framework which evaluates the regulation of the proper use, improvement and production of pasture land, creating integrated pasture management system, reducing pasture land degradation and desertification. Step-by-step renewation and renewal of technical and technology of agriculture intensive production, as well as the development of clusters, logistics and financial leasing services. Improvement of environment for work sustainability and opportunities, increase the skills and knowledge of human resource and the agriculture sector, as well as the preparation of their successors. It's important to increase their labor value. Public policy support on initiative to expand the production uniting powers through the cooperatives of those who work in the agriculture sector. Stimulation in intensification of agriculture cooperatives, eco-initiatives and investment, as well as increased resource utilization. Reduction of occurrence of the animal and livestock diseases and spread, assuring the calmness of infectious diseases in the regional level. Introduction of modern and advanced laboratories, diagnostic and analysis methods and technologies of veterinary service and improvement of its diagnostic capacity. In addition, the action plan will be implemented the next 4 years within the framework of the resolutions on International Year of Rangeland 2026 approved by General Assembly of the United Nations on 15th March 2022. It has been determined that expanded results from International Year of Rangelands 2026 will be shared and disseminated the international level. Among these are countries who still continue keeping are preserving their culture and heritage of the nomadic way of livestock based on the natural pasture land as well as the good practice of Mongolia will be shared the world. Based on it, we expect that the rural and economic tourism based on nomadic culture will be developed and the livelihood of nomadic people will improve, providing opportunities and preserve and keep comprehensiveness of the economic system. In further, the Mongolian government is paying attention on those programs and policies which will support significant investment and upbuilding based on public and private partners, which will stimulate to export agriculture, derived raw materials and product through one window policy, which will introduce the quality control systems, significant international standards such as establishing export-oriented production based on the cooperatives, technological industrial park, veterinary service, and the quarantine and the healthy zones, compartment zones, and entities, as well as initiations of reform agriculture commodity exchange. It's important for us keep in line the optimal strategies with concepts such as introducing the smart green agriculture, transforming into circular economy, following the One Health concept, which are the reforming trends in the world and the socio-economic life of the country. Today, with the purpose of working towards having the unified and comprehensive concept of one ideology under one roof, it's one of the solutions effectively and efficiently implemented along mid-term development policies in the relevant sectors, subsectors of our country. We sincerely believe and are confident that our tight collaboration will be expansive and make further contributes towards up-leveling into the new level, the development of food, agriculture, and light industry. The sector based on the coherence of the global development trends based on scientific and technological developments and creativities. Let us success the organization of this conference and this event. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Secretary. Thank you. Let me also now call on the European Union, Joanna Stavove, member of the Cabinet of the Agriculture Commissioner, Wojciechowski. I see the debate, the fierce debate, repeatedly in the European Parliament over trying to balance those climate goals with trying to ensure food security. It's not an easy thing.
Indeed, thank you for reminding me of our hot debates inside the EU, and thank you for this opportunity to present what we do, because we do have a really diversity of farming system landscapes and diets in Europe, and we have a good lessons to share with you. We truly believe that livestock delivers on the three pillars of sustainability. It's very important for food security, but it's also important for circular economy if managed properly, and it has an important economic sustainability aspect. Livestock ensures jobs in rural areas and is an important factor for economic and social development. In the European Union, livestock represents 40% of the total agricultural value and employ around 4 million people. So we really want this sector to thrive, but we also know that animal production is a main contributor of our emissions and is mainly responsible for nutrient pollution as regards water and air. So we are committed to change, to improve, to meet the expectations of citizens and of our youth. In the European Union, we have already come a long way. Since 1990, EU agriculture has already lowered its greenhouse gas emissions by 21%, while increasing productivity growth. We need to progress, we need to achieve more, and do so collectively, do so globally. This consideration has led the European Union to engage into a progressive and irreversible transition towards sustainable, resilient, competitive, and climate-neutral economy in the framework of the growth strategy that we call the European Green Deal. And for agriculture and the food system, we have the Farm to Fork strategy. Delivering on this ambition vision requires transition and the change of mindset from all actors. With its key position in the food system, the livestock sector is central. Animal welfare and health are fundamental for a sustainable and resilient livestock production and for a reduced need for antimicrobials. But we also focus strongly on innovation and precision farming to support farmers in tangible manner in achieving this transition. Let me say a word about agricultural policy inside the EU. With the new policy cycle that started this year, we truly stepped up our efforts. We decided to devote a significantly larger part of the budget, so we will have we estimate to have 6.3 billion euro for animal welfare, and that should cover 23% of our livestock, and that will be complemented with 2.5 billion euro for innovation on and off the farm. And it's also interesting to note that this new policy is implemented in a different way, so we will have an umbrella of common principles and definitions, and then room for member states, for our countries, to actually do it in a flexible way with their national strategic plans, taking into account local or regional particularities. And that is truly a real example of the idea that one size does not fit all, and we are really believers in that approach. The measures that we want to support include feed management practices such as outdoor grazing, adapted feed ratios, or the use of feed additives, or genetic improvement for animals. Investment support that we have planned will be granted for manure storage, treatment, application methodologies, biogas production, and circular approaches to nutrient management. As I said, this policy cycle started this year, so now the challenge for us to implement it in the most efficient way, so to make sure that the money that we have planned will deliver on the ground. But the EU action has also a very strong external dimension. And let me highlight just one point here. We are working on deforestation and forest degradation, and we'd like to continue to be truly committed on that topic, because we know that about 90% of deforestation, according to FAO estimates, is provoked by the expansion of agricultural land, including pasture land. Just addressing illegal deforestation is no longer enough, but we want to deliver on what our citizens expect from us in a constructive way. We have adopted a regulation on deforestation-free supply chains, so from the entry into force of that legislation, operators and large traders will be obliged to conduct due diligence to make sure that commodities are both deforestation-free and legal. Only such products will be allowed on the EU market or to be exported from the EU market. The regulation relies on internationally used definitions and specifically on the work of FAO to establish what shall be considered deforestation-free supply chains and products. We understand the need to explain better how this regulation would operate, so for this reason we hold an information session here next Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. I believe you have all received the invitation, so I can only encourage you to participate and engage in a discussion with us on this. So just quickly to takeaways, because I see time is running out, I want to say that, of course, the European Union is committed to continue this work on sustainability of the livestock sector internally, but also internationally. We are strongly convinced that it can be done with a combination of legal requirements and incentives for farmers, in the spirit of one size does not fit all, so looking for solutions best suited for local conditions. We are truly convinced that good cooperation with different civil society actors is fundamental. We need to work across the value chain, and we also need to improve the perception of livestock by highlighting its contribution to food security, but also to circular economy, and demonstrating the positive externalities that livestock can offer. We also need evidence-based policy making, and that can be largely facilitated by innovation. I really think that data from farmers can work for us, for policymakers, but can work also for farmers, again, to prove what they actually do for societies in terms of food security and in terms of circularity. So again, thank you, FAO, for taking up this very important topic, and we are looking forward to working together on this in the future.
Thank you very much to the European Union representative, and we'd now like to welcome back the Secretary of Innovation, Sustainable Development, Irrigation and Cooperativism at the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock from Brazil, Renata Bueno Miranda.
Good afternoon to everybody. Again, it's a pleasure to be here again. DDG Semedo, thank you very much. Tanawa, it's not here anymore, Buddy, authorities, scientists, delegates, my new friends from Global Youth Dialogue, congratulations for your job. Good job. I was together with them yesterday and I saw it's much better than us. We didn't made any declaration, so congratulations. That's why we expect so much from you. Gentlemen, and especially, again, the ladies, it's very good to have you all here, so many. Congratulations. Thank you all for all the opportunities that you have here for great and fruitful conversation. Not only in the formal schedule of the event, but also through the informal chats in the corridors, cafes. Dear Fernando, I can't imagine if we had barbecue here. If we can solve so many problems drinking coffee, imagine if we had some cheese or barbecue. It's an idea for the next event, okay? I think we can save the world. In the end of my intervention, in the very first day of the conference, I made an invitation to bring diversity to the round table. And I also stated that a different perspective can open a new future. Looking for a better future means achieve decisions, the better decisions now, at the present. So we cannot have better future if we don't make good decisions now. When I say now, you have to take care about it because we are talking about your next present. So it's very important when we think a little bit more about what we are doing here and what kind of improvement we are reaching. We all are aware of challenges that we are already facing. According to WMO, World Meteorological Organization, more than 90% of death and more than 60% of economic damage happened in developing countries due to climate change. Projections are that 670 million people will suffer from hunger by 2030. These people are not here to discuss diet. They are not here to discuss if it's better or not to eat meat. Livestock farming is not just a choice of diet. We need to understand it. But rather, it means a survival way for each family. So the key word is transformation. We said it so many times. One of the meanings of transformation is evolution. What kind of evolution are we achieving now at this present moment in looking for a better future? We are here together, 3 days. I would like to suggest 2 concrete actions. Semedo, it's for you. First, let's build this new future of sustainable livestock production, strengthening multilateralism, upholding it, avoiding unilateralism. We know what we are talking about. Promoting qualified multilateral dialogues involving as many stakeholders as possible is vital to respect the diversity of livestock systems around the world. And second, I would like to reiterate what has been said by FAO Animal Production and Health Division Director, my dear friend Tanawa Mbadi here. He also said in the first day of the conference, let's work on the ground with more cooperation. So, under these milestones, Brazil is proposing a social media like a platform dedicated to matchmaking. You know, when we want to date, something like this, project dating platform. A platform dedicated to matchmaking countries and institutions with a view to accelerate the sustainable transformation of livestock in alignment with local and national realities in straightforward and practical way. We propose to do so guided by the principles of international cooperation and inclusivity, delivering outcomes on the ground, real outcomes, and leaving no one behind. Thank you.
Obrigado, Minister. Thank you very much. Let us turn to Saudi Arabia and Ali bin Mohammed Al Sheikh. We had a panel together. And yes, let's go up here. Let's go up here and have a little talk, because there were a number of points that we covered during that panel yesterday on environment. And I know you have a couple of things to say, but just what's one takeaway that you think was important from that? If you can just come up here to the mic.
Okay.
Because we heard a lot of possibilities on genetics, on land use, on water, on
environment, climate,
on giving the farmers a stake in the property so they take care of it, things like that.
Subsidies, yes.
What could you take back to Saudi Arabia from these 3 days?
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I'd like to make my conversation in Arabic. Prepare your sit phone. أصحاب السعادة.
Excellencies, first of all, my congratulations to the FAO for holding this global conference, which reflected the interest of more than 98 countries with 27 prominent leaders and with a large participants. We have debated several issues over the last 3 days. We have come here seeking solutions to many of the challenges we all face. Let me remind you all here that we gather around the future of food security for this generation and the coming ones. Let me summarize the outcomes and what we have been saying about solutions. Genetics is an important tool to raise productivity and to reduce the cost. Vaccines will contribute to reduce the death and to reduce the mortality rate by adopting One Health approach and caring for the interlinkage between man, animals, and the environment. Biosecurity is essential in all fields. It's the gateway to sustainability and should be a mainstay in all strategies aiming at developing a livestock sector and fisheries. From the youth, I have come to grasp with the importance of insurance to uphold the cost and to share the risks and their cost. Ladies and gentlemen, the governments play an important role in developing all sectors by launching initiatives that cannot be undertaken by small producers or farmers. Therefore, it's paramount to develop legislations and to lay down the rules and to sustain this with expanded research and to prepare all the means for success. Here, I stress the need to provide direct and indirect support to the small producers, and I call the governments to build smart systems to support the sector in line with the importance of the sector and the need to preserve all the resources. We believe that we face many challenges. They all require us to rethink our strategies for every country, to reconsider the hurdles and to find the adequate solutions. The regional initiatives represent one of the main solutions. Working through the FAO will bring many benefits to all of us, and we have stressed the importance of these initiatives at the regional level, and we believe that this will lead to regional solutions by sharing and taking benefit from the available resources. So developing the sector, improving the productivity will support the development of the sector.
Solution, but the most important part, I do believe, that we have to balance all the demand along with the resources. Because if we go for the production, we will affect definitely the environment. But if we care for the environment, we will lose the production and the development. And we have to make a mechanism of a balancing mechanism to solve and to find the solution for all, both nature, the food and the environment. Biosecurity will make a strong what you call solution to solve and to make it very stable. I do believe the vaccine and genome will make a significant role to develop the sector, and this is really we are practicing now in Saudi the same what you call approach. In fact, we had recent what you call development program focus for vaccine and genome. We are targeting to develop the sector to be a major what you call contributor to the significant improvement in the future, inshallah. Thank you very much. سعيد بوجودي اليوم هنا وإن شاء الله.
Thank you very much. I was very happy to take part in this important event.
Thank you very much. And last but definitely not the least, we have from Kenya, Principal Secretary for the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Jonathan Mweke.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by thanking the FAO, the Director General and his team, for putting together such an exemplary first global conference on sustainable livestock production. I'd also like to thank the voices of the young people for putting together such a strong statement on sustainable livestock production. Actually, this sector depends on you to define its future. So we thank you for your participation in the same. And last but not least, I also like to thank the moderators for ensuring that Kenya is the last to speak today. As they say, you always save the best for last. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. We've had a very intensive 3 days and therefore wish to highlight the following on behalf of the Republic of Kenya. The livestock sector plays an important role in the national economy of Kenya with a direct contribution of about 12% to our GDP. Our sector supplies the domestic requirements of meat, milk, dairy products, eggs, and other livestock products, while accounting for over 30% of the total marketed agricultural products. The sector earns the country substantial foreign exchange through the export of livestock and livestock products, and employs about 50% of the country's agricultural sector labor force. It contributes substantial earnings to households through the sale of livestock and livestock products, while providing raw materials for agro-based industries. Over 80% of Kenya landmass is arid and semi-arid lands, which is seriously affected by climate change, and it is the home of over 70% of the livestock population, empowering nearly 90% of that population. Implementation of the livestock sector interventions based on Kenya's Vision 2030, our government manifesto on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the agricultural policy, agricultural sector transformation and growth strategy, the livestock policy, the veterinary policy, and the commodity thematic strategies and plans is what guide our livestock sector. The Kenya government is currently developing a livestock master plan that will provide accurate data as an information repository and an investment roadmap to guide the development of a sustainable livestock sector, and also attract more substantial and better targeted livestock sector investments from state, non-state actors, and the private sector. The master plan will be forward-looking, focusing on regularly updating and digitizing data, providing investment plans in the short and long term, and mainstreaming the climate change mitigation measures for the calamities frequently experienced by the livestock sector. The focus areas in all the value chains are derived from this livestock sector. The main drivers of our country's bottom-up economic transformation agenda involve doubling of production in the meat industry and the dairy industry, while also mopping up for processing into leather and leather products, all hides and skins in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, the knowledge experience arising from this conference will improve focus on the planned interventions that include the following 6 measures. Number 1, management of livestock feed and rangeland resources, restoration while promoting social inclusion and environmental resilience. Number 2, promotion of animal health, good animal husbandry processes, investment in disease control programs, provision for the effective regulation of veterinary medicines, and guaranteeing safety of food of animal origin for better health, as well as to facilitate access to domestic, regional, and the international markets. Number 3, investment in better adapted livestock genetics for increased productivity, growth rate, and resilience, such as provision of artificial insemination, including the use of sexed semen and utilization of appropriate animal breeds. Number 4, essential climate adaptation measures, where Kenya, through President Ruto, mobilized African governments during the African Climate Summit just a few weeks ago to rededicate their efforts in addressing climate change effects on the continent. Kenya has therefore taken the lead by defining steps which include targeting to plant up to 15 billion trees by 2032. We shall also invest in rangelands restoration and protection of our water towers, among other measures. Climate-smart livestock production systems will be embraced in Kenya. Number 5 is the implementation of the livestock identification and traceability system to support the institutionalization of modern livestock identification models, to support domestic and international trade in livestock and livestock products. This will be achieved by integrating platforms that will use printed and electronic ear tags, data management systems, and other approved electronic identification devices to be anchored on national legislation. Number 6 is conducting and supporting livestock research and extension services to facilitate innovation and the adoption of appropriate technologies. Sustaining transformation will require accurate data for rigorous performance, as well as the research and innovation to propel decision-making and technologies for the future. This conference is invited to note the key areas of interventions in the Kenyan context that focuses on transformation of the livestock sector, involving modernization of farm production, shifting production towards more value addition and commercialization of livestock farming. Your governments, development partners, and the private sector are therefore invited to identify any opportunities along the various value chains and are invited to partner with Kenya government in making informed, targeted investments for their returns. As I conclude, we support accelerating effective and sustainable livestock transformation through approaches that recognize the diversity of livestock systems around the world. It is important to focus on achieving consensus on the universal indicators and metrics while tailoring interventions according to local needs and resources to integrate sustainable practices within existing systems. Effective livestock transformation will bring about benefits that include economic growth by providing tools for poverty alleviation, improvement of livestock-based livelihoods, combating price volatility, adaptive investment, lowering the country's dependence on food imports, and the enhancement of national income from livestock resources. As Kenya, we are focused and committed. I thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Mr. Secretary, thank you very much. Thank you. I think now we turn to the floor, and we first turn to the governments for any questions or comments. And I understand that France, vous vous intéressez à...
I think you would like to make a comment, France. Thank you, moderator. Yes, I am interested in making a comment. Ministers, colleagues, it's a pleasure for me to speak on behalf of Mongolia and France on this occasion. I would like to highlight the excellent quality of the debate over the past 3 days on important issues related to animal health, animal well-being, food security, sustainability of livestock activities. Following the recent visit of Emmanuel Macron, the President of the Republic, to Mongolia, France and Mongolia wanted to highlight the importance of political relations in a strategic context. Mongolia considers France as a third neighbor, and France considers Mongolia as a priority partner in the region. We focus in our cooperation on things including livestock. Mongolia is a guest of honor at the guest of honor at the livestock fair in Paris in 2022. We promised to increase our cooperation in the agriculture area. Following the ministerial visit to Mongolia, our two countries decided to work on concrete projects linked to milk production, milk processing, animal health, food security, and geographical indications. We support cooperation between agencies, including scientific institutions in Mongolia and agencies in France with similar competencies. We also support specific activities in support of the UN Year on Pastoralism and Rangelands. we will also have an opportunity to raise these issues during an upcoming visit to Mongolia. We'd like to thank you for this conference and thank you for the very high quality of these debates and discussions.
Argentina, Carlos, would you like to go ahead?
Gracias. Thank you. Please allow to make this statement not in my capacity as permanent representative of Argentina, but as chair of the Subcommittee on Livestock in relation to two issues. The first is that all of the members of the Subcommittee on Livestock are very much satisfied with the fact that we've been able to have this conference organized by FAO. It's something that was part of our expectations, so we're very satisfied with this. We'd like to thank everyone who participated in the work to put this conference together, including the moderators, the interpreters, all the staff who worked behind the scenes very intensely. We will see that at the next bureau meeting for the committee, Tanawat will be there to share his views in relation to the outcomes of the conference. And he's, of course, the Director of Animal Production in FAO, so his views will be very important. The second issue is in relation to the youth statement in the framework of this conference. Over the past 3 days, I had more or less 20 meetings with representatives of civil society, the private sector, representatives of various countries, but I didn't have an opportunity to meet with the young people because I don't think there was any request on their side, and I didn't want to interrupt the discussion and debate processes that they have had over the past 3 days. But I am completely and fully available whenever they like to have a meeting so that we can speak in the framework of the discussion with the other members in the committee. The Subcommittee on Livestock is an inclusive and transparent platform, completely open to dialoguing with all stakeholders, and we will continue to dialogue, especially with young people who are very important, not just for the future, but for the present today when it comes to the sustainable development of livestock. Thank you.
I think next up is Thailand. Is that right? Please.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sopat Chawankun, Deputy Director General of the Department of Livestock Development of Thailand. On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperative, I would like to thank the FAO for hosting this important first conference on livestock transformation. Witnessing the activities and progress made by the governors, academics, public sectors, and private sector, including the youth, I feel hopeful. Thailand supports the FAO to continue the Sustainable Livestock Transformation initiative. We need to work together for the decade of actions for sustainable livestock transformation. With our efforts, livestock sector would be more sustainable in the near future. Regarding this, the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperative of Thailand and the FAO with the goal will hold the 13th Global Agenda for Sustainable Livestock multi-stakeholder partnership meeting in Chiang Mai, Thailand, for 30 October to 3rd November 2023. The platform for the multi-stakeholder collaboration to strengthen sustainable and resilient of livestock systems in response to diverse of change. We would like to welcome you all in Chiang Mai to our list in culture and sustainable agriculture of the Northern Thai. Thank you.
ขอบคุณมากนะคะ to the Thai delegation, Ethiopia, please.
Thank you very much, the moderators. I think you also deserve a special thanks, and thank you very much for FAO also for organizing such a wonderful, the first of its kind of transforming livestock. And also I want to thank all the panelists from whom I think that we have gained scientific knowledge, innovations, and even the best practices that is throughout the world. I think the conference have achieved its goal for the time being, which that's what I'm saying, because exchanging of such best practices will result in a best future. That's what I need. Then when I was just trying to pick up transformation as it is, livestock, and I was thinking only not the livestock, and even transforming the leadership is supposed to be included within transforming livestock. Unless we transform the leadership, we will not be able to transform the livestock. And the transformation include within it, I think, like His Excellency from Saudi Arabia said, that a balanced approach to everything. If we do that, only we can transform the livestock. Second, I could also realize initiatives elsewhere. And I just want to share one initiative that we have started now in Ethiopia, that is, which we call it LEMAT project, which runs for the coming 4 years, where we want to actually produce more milk, more egg, more fish, then more honey, as far as the animal science is concerned. So these initiatives, by implementing these initiatives over the coming years, we will be coming back with the best practice to share it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to go to one more country. We do countries first, and then we go further out to international organizations and NGOs. So next to Madagascar, please. And if we could keep our comments brief, 1 to 2 minutes, that would be great. We get more voices in.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me the floor. It's an honor for us to take part in this first global conference on sustainable livestock transformation. Livestock needs to be more sustainable. We would like to thank FAO for organizing this event, and would also like to thank all the presenters for these enriching discussions and presentations over the last 3 days. This has allowed us, and we hope also everyone else here, to review our strategic development of livestock in our respective countries, taking into account the environment and the aspect of sustainable production. We would like to again reiterate our gratitude to FAO for organizing this conference, which is a really high-level conference with a view to transforming livestock to contribute to its noble goal of making lives more sustainable and making nutrition sustainable for humankind.
Thank you very much. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Papasek. I'm the technical advisor to the President of Senegal in charge of animal health, livestock, and fisheries. It's really my pleasure to be here in this conference with the General Secretariat of the Ministry of Livestock in my left. And I would like to thank FAO for this first ever global conference on sustainable livestock transformation. And I should say that it's a very good conference, and the results are really very meaningful. And I would like just to highlight here the work done by the youth with a very meaningful and good recommendation that we have to carry back home as takeaway message. And I would like to congratulate them. And talking about the youth, and you let me here to shift in French.
I'd like to say that leaving no one behind should not just be about getting young people to come back to their ancestors' lands, which today are lands which have been impoverished by years and years of exploitation. For me, leaving no one behind must be about providing new arable land to these young people so they themselves can build their agricultural businesses with everything they need so they can have agricultural practices put in place, innovative ones, moving forward, which will allow them to enter into business and to ensure that they can flourish. This is what is at the heart of Senegal's agricultural policy, and our president created this policy in 2014. This is a program for young people, boys and girls, providing new arable lands, allowing them to form communities and to target 20,000 groups to allow them to farm in the future in an economically sustainable and profitable way, and to ensure that they can have a better life. This program aims to employ over 300,000 young people. We have Natangue farms, integrated farms that include livestock, agriculture, but also aquaculture. And what this is about allowing young people to have access to other production methods. For example, aquaculture, which today is a real alternative when it comes to the production of protein for the world using fish. So, I would like to once again thank FAO for organizing this conference, which in my opinion has been a very important conference when it comes to exchanges, both now and in the future. Thank you. Microphone for the moderator, please.
Merci.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Following on from what the chair of the Subcommittee on Livestock said, I would like to congratulate FAO on the organization of this conference, which has been very important. Honestly speaking, I think that the first take-home for me from this conference is lots of information which allows us in the Subcommittee on Livestock to move forward with our work. So on behalf of the subcommittee, I would like to ask FAO to put in place measures. This is a first here, and I think it would be good to have a post-summit mechanism put in place so that we can have results that are shared with the states. We have taken note of the diversity here. Here, from my point of view, in any case, for the post-summit, it would be good to see if we can have policy convergence and solution seeking so that we can make sure livestock is made more sustainable and so that we can make sure that all countries can move forward with certainty towards the achievement of the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals. I think if there are solutions on the table, there is always hope, and we look forward to the next summit. Thank you.
May I now invite the Director General of the FAO, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, for his closing remarks. And I'm sorry that we're unable to take questions from the non-state actors. We are running out of time. So Dr. Chu?
Okay. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the end of this important first ever livestock meeting conference in FAO. It's already, I said repeatedly, saying that something you started small and started good, and then lead to the prosperous future. That's what we aim, we hope. But during past almost 3 days, I had a lot of chance to interaction with the farmers, about the 30 farmers from Asia, North America, Europe, Africa, Latin America, and the Near East. And also I had, of course, interaction with the ministers and the bureaucrats and permanent representatives here, and other colleagues from the scientific community, NGOs, international organizations. My pressure is we need it done earlier, but we not done good, in good way, at the right time, better than earlier. That's something we should appreciate your support and appreciate all the coherency we are now building on that important sectors. I said so many times, nutrition food or healthy food, based on the pyramid that provided by WHO together with FAO. We need a carbohydrate, we need the proteins from the vegetables and the animals, we need the fibers, we need the minerals, trace element, and of course on the top, we need a lot of high energy products. It should be balanced formula of the food and the nutrition. As we conclude this first ever FAO Global Conference on Sustainable Livestock Transformation, I wish to thank all the participants for your valuable contributions and insights. FAO is 4 basic functions as a UN intergovernmental specialized agency. Number 1 is a platform for policy consultation. So that's why we don't have a conclusion. It's a conclusion among yourself. And we just take some consensus from you, build on, and leading some initiatives, action plans, and back to you, ask you to take the ownership, and then build a partnership with FAO, with other partners. That's the business model, real multilateralism. Especially I share those views with Secretary General because he was the prime minister of a country. Yeah? I was a local leader. In China, it's a province. It's not small, be honest. That's we have real solid power. Budget, I said budget, that's real budget. All the UN agencies, we are not the real budget because we depend on the assessment contribution. So many years you did the increase, volunteer contribution based on the competitive base. And so that's not the real budget. Because people call it budget. It's not the real budget when you face the government budget. It's a real budget. So I say that because we depend on you. Depend on members, depend on the partners, depend on the corporate. I said hand in hand initiative, 5 key partners. Public, private, academia, civil society NGOs, and other international organizations. Of course, among UN system, also we need a strengthened cooperation. That's 5 key partners. We have to work together. Any sector, big or small, like livestock, you have to also work with UNEP, WHO, IAEA, or OIE. OIE Director Monica was here. So, first, and also with others. That's what I wanted to emphasize again. This conference has fostered a meaningful discussion and innovative ideas. Now, as we move forward, it's crucial we translate our words into concrete actions. I said so many times, 4 years ago, we started the FAO strategy framework, from framework to the strategies, and now from strategy to the action. That is the first step of action. Action is not the book papers prepared by the colleagues from the division of the animal or other relevant OSP, and then they in the room have paperwork. No, we need open debate, sharing information, sharing experience, sharing lessons even. Yeah, a lot of early developed members, they have a lot of lessons also. We can learn from that. And that's the later developing nations. We can benefit that. That's a way we can speed up, scale up our business to produce more with less. I'm encouraged by the deep I'm encouraged by the deep commitment and the dedication of all the policymakers, researchers, farmers, producers, private sector, civil society, and all other international relevant partners who has laid a solid foundation for our collective work ahead. The path to the sustainable livestock transformation is not an easy one. It's already created a lot of misinformation, created a lot of misleading approaches, and even so many silos. Yeah? We need a holistic design based on science, based on data. Sometimes some people not happy. But if science works, if science tells, the data tells, we have to insist our professional stand, build up the real mainstream of action orientation. If you made a mistake orientation, and you want to go to Rome, but you went to Naples, yeah, that's not good. a lot of policy, yeah, a lot of action. You didn't realize you oriented in the wrong direction. Yeah, it's not the rare case. It's quite often. So you need a cool mind. You need a rationalized thinking. Only way to minimize the risk should be follow the rules, follow the science, follow the data. The next step in our journey together calls for the collaboration, commitment, and the joint action. Government, farmers, researchers, civil society, and the private sector, all the partners should move ahead, hand in hand, to drive change at every levels, from the field, farmers, to the head of the state. I think if we wanted to have enjoy a better life, livestock is one of the indicators. If we don't have a well-developed livestock, your life still the poor or middle level. That's my understanding. Because in Asia, not only China, Chinese culture, they say poor people eat rice, the rich people eat meat. Yeah? But of course, rich people don't eat too much meat. Huh? It's not good. Yeah. So, but means livestock is closely linked with the life standard of your people, and closely linked with of your agricultural system transformation, how high quality you are aiming to. But some countries maybe it's overproduced, production, too much intensive. That's not good. So we need a little bit balanced way. We must use the best technology, science, to implement a sustainable practice in our livestock system. I always say tools in the toolbox is there, but how to pick it up, fit your local conditions and your economic development stages. Otherwise, you can't have a one solution fit the all, because each region, each location, each company, each organization, you have different commodities. You are focused. So you need to have a different technological approach and alternative. We must invest in the research and development and promote the technology innovations and provide support to all the farmers and the food producers. Cover the whole value chain, not only raw material production, and also up to the processed products. Because a lot of people, FAO staff, we are more focused on production, or even the primary production. Of course, it's important that we can start, but not end with that. We should end the marketable commercial products, which is benefit directly to the consumers. So FAO is not only organization for farmers, be honest. FAO is nowadays, even now, more important for the consumer-driven, oriented organization. But we should respect, support, assist the farmers first. But who is coming to judge FAO performances? Not only farmers, not only politicians, consumers. Consumers say, okay, on the market we have so much affordable, healthy diets. They were, FAO, you are doing a good job. Not only when we are suffering shortage of food supply, and they say, okay, FAO is crucial. That's a minimum requirement. FAO will continue to provide a comprehensive and tailored technical support to the members for the development of their livestock sectors. That's why we established a hand-in-hand geospatial platform. Hand-in-hand geospatial platform is big data-based, rationalized your regional development, your commodity development, and your comparable competitiveness among the different regions, among different countries, among different sectors, based on your natural environment and the conditions. So hand-in-hand geospatial platform, it's I hope members, especially Minister of Agriculture and the private sector, you can use it, big or small, but it will be help you, assist you, rationalize your investment plan, your business plan, and also build up your comparable advantage for competitiveness. A lot of countries, including Europe, traditionally you early developed 100 years or 50 years. Let's say, take an example here, Italy famous for olive oil, because they they took early, maybe 300 years ago. But I know for sure in the world, there are a lot of places, the weather condition, even better than Italy, soil and sunshine and weather to grow in the high quality for olive oil. Because no people even think about that, because they already growing the other crops for many years. But based on science and innovation, you can find the ideal environment, a place to grow new crops. That's why they introduced the one country, one commodity, priority commodity. Yeah, let's also do that. It's not only best from Thailand. There are so many other countries produce better. But Thailand is take the first marketing and commercialization durian. So I just take these two examples to open your way of thinking. Yeah, and then you have found the potential based on your local environment, especially weather and soil, natural resources. Wine, look, there are so many places now produce wine. Yeah, it was original from Georgia, 80,000 years ago. But Georgia didn't build the biggest industry of wine. But the French, Italy, Spain, now Chile, yeah, you name it, and Napa Valley, New Zealand, South Africa, China, or Australia. There's so many others now. They build the new industry on the wine. But who knows the first wine made in Georgia? 80,000 years. It's a cradle of the world wine. It's Georgia. So I just show this, let you understand. I'm not promoting the wine from Georgia. Be careful. But I learned the knowledge, that's just take, some country maybe you can build your advantage on the special products. One country, one priority products. This conference also is so important not only for FAO staff, for the members, I think more important also for the young farmers, young producers, and the young researchers who share the innovative ideas, solutions, and transforming the livestock sectors. Youth is our future. Especially based on their knowledge, their modern information sharing, they can build better, I know for sure, because that's their word. Yeah, I always say we are getting old, like the green leaves becoming yellow and yellow, fading out, and they follow down to the soil. That's the life cycle of the leaves. Yeah? Among us, from young to the old, it's the same. Dear friends, sustainable livestock transformation is not just about the food production. It is about creating more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, more sustainable agri-food system through the better production, better nutrition, a better environment, better life. To ensure food security and rural development and leave no one behind. It is about promoting one health principle, ensuring the health and the well-being of the human being, animals, plants, soil, and the environment. Together, we can create a world where the livestock system contribute to sustainable development, protect our natural resources, and improve the livelihood of the millions. Together, we can shape the global agenda to make the lasting impact for the generations to come. Action on the ground, working together, share together. That's the beauty of agriculture. Agriculture commodity without share with your neighbors, with your international consumers, you didn't find the value, additional value. Because all the local products, local people took as ground for many years, for generations. But when you export to your neighbor countries or other parts of the world, I took another example, kiwi. Kiwi in 1968 as a donated species to the Prime Minister Lai in New Zealand by the Prime Minister Zhou Enlai. And New Zealand used the kiwi and then developed new varieties, developed the best industry for kiwi. But kiwi in my home back mountains, there are so many wild species exist so many thousand years. Nobody even picked up. That's a kiwi. Yeah. So share with the New Zealand they make the kiwi famous in the world, and back to China now they will develop the largest production of kiwi. Kiwi means in Chinese, kai means offer you appetizer, because it's sour when you eat, and it's give you appetizer, kai. Yeah. So that's a story. Only 50 years about, but they retain the benefit of the original place you start to share with the New Zealand. Without the New Zealand investment and the promotion in the international market, I said kiwi is still the wild species on my back mountains in my backyard. Thank you very much. Let's work together, share together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Director General. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I know you are working very hard. Eh?
Fantastic, fantastic. This brings the conference to a close. As the Director General said, this is an important step toward action, which he hopes to see. Thanks to all the speakers. Thanks to all the ministers. Thank you very much, Mr. Chu. And to all those watching as well. And keep in mind, hashtag Sustainable Livestock for anything you heard here. Please cast it wider. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation. Good evening.
Maybe we can have a group photo.
Let's have a picture. Where the minister.